Today we're taking a look at these NFL matches: New York Jets vs Green Bay Packers, Detroit Lions vs Pittsburgh Steelers, Tennessee Titans vs Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baltimore Ravens vs Carolina Panthers, and Atlanta Falcons vs Miami Dolphins, which are happening on Saturday, August 21st, 2021, and giving you match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes. Let's get straight into it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos. And if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. 5 plans are available for each and every one of you. You can get 30 extra betting picks all the way up to 270 extra betting picks per month. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting advice that ends up costing you a lot of money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks and advice. New York Jets vs Green Bay Packers. The Jets haven't had the upper hand much over the last few years, but they shouldn't have any issues against the Packers on the weekend. Aaron Rodgers didn't play in the game and will sit out all 3 preseason games. Jordan Love completed 12 of 17 passes for 122 yards and 1 touchdown, but he suffered a shoulder injury that will keep him out of this game. Kurt Benkert, who will get the start for the Packers, completed 8 of 12 passes for 88 yards and 1 interception. Lafleur is only 1 to 2 Austrian shillings and 2 to 3 straight up as a coach in the preseason, and this year specifically, it isn't expected to see that improve. He's well aware of the talent he has within his team, and with the expectation that they will be veteran-led as well, it's expected to see very few snaps from starters against the Jets. Add in that Love isn't expected to play for the Packers, and they are left with 2 quarterbacks who aren't going to fare well against a Jets defense that is hungry to impress and held the Giants to fewer than 100 passing yards last weekend. My betting advice for that game is to pick under 31.5. Detroit Lions vs Pittsburgh Steelers. One of the biggest moves during the NFL draft this season was in the first round when the Pittsburgh Steelers drafted running back Najee Harris. Last week against the Philadelphia Eagles, Harris only had 2 rushing attempts for 10 yards on the ground, while he also had a 9-yard reception. He needs to figure out how to get as much chemistry with quarterback Ben Roethlisberger as possible to get the offense clicking early in the season. The Campbell-Anthony Lynn offense in Detroit is off to a rocky start, as the first drive with Goff went backwards while Boyle was reckless with the ball. Pittsburgh's defense won't be an easy assignment, as opponents are only averaging 9.5 points and 312 yards per game against the Steelers this preseason. Haskins was impressive last week against Philadelphia, and the Steelers' quarterbacks up and down the depth chart are better than those of Detroit. My betting advice for that game is to pick over 37. Tennessee Titans vs Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been struggling defensively in their first preseason game, as they allowed 185 yards through the air and 118 rushing yards last week. With Tennessee still figuring out who will be their backup quarterback, there is going to be an incentive for the opposing offense to step up here. They have veterans on the defensive side of the ball, and if they can figure out how to improve from last week, it will do wonders for their chance of repeating as Super Bowl champs. The big position battle to watch on Saturday will be further down the depth chart at wide receiver, as Marcus Johnson is getting rave reviews at camp, while rookie Racey McMath also looks good. Right tackle is also a question mark for Tennessee, with Ty Sambrailo and Kendall Lamb likely to get an extended look as they fight for the starting job. Wide receiver Julio Jones has not practiced since August 2 as he deals with an undisclosed injury. Tackle Brent Vale, who was singed 2 weeks ago and played the majority of snaps last weekend, was placed on injured reserve this week. Defensive end Trevin Coley is also out with a foot injury after getting a lot of playing time against Atlanta. My betting advice for that game is to pick under 35. Quick reminder, you can get 125% cashback bonus on your first deposit on our partner sportsbook BetUS after you open an account using our link down below and use our promo code HIGHSTAKES when making your deposit. Baltimore Ravens vs Carolina Panthers. In Game 2 against the Panthers, we may see a little bit of Lamar Jackson, but it's doubtful he will get much playing time, if at all. So, it's down to Huntley, because McSorley injured his back last week. Who else will play? It's not clear if we'll see top receivers Marquise Brown, new pickup Sammy Watkins, or tight end Mark Andrews. First round pick, receiver Rashad Bateman won't play, as he's out with an injury. Running backs J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards could also see limited action. Overall, the Ravens shored up the offensive line and the defensive backfield in the preseason, two areas that were lacking last season. The Baltimore Ravens do not lose preseason games. They have won an incredible 18 consecutive preseason games under HC John Harbaugh. The Ravens were able to top a good Saints team 17-14 last week in a game where Lamar Jackson did not play. My betting advice for that game is to pick under 35. Atlanta Falcons vs Miami Dolphins. Green Bay didn't play well offensively in their last game. They threw for 193 yards and rushed for 49 yards in the loss. Aaron Rodgers didn't play in the game and will sit out all 3 preseason games. Jordan Love completed 12 of 17 passes for 122 yards and 1 touchdown, but he suffered a shoulder injury that will keep him out of this game. Kurt Benkert, who will get the start for the Packers, completed 8 of 12 passes for 88 yards and 1 interception. Atlanta Falcons vs Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins do not have many defensive rookie additions on their depth chart, but they have a solid secondary with the likes of Eric Rowe, Jason McCourty, Byron Jones, and Xavier Howard. The Dolphins were one of the better pass defenses last season as opposing quarterbacks had a 62.9 completion percentage, which was 7th best in the NFL. Having a veteran secondary is going to help the team be very solid this season and could be competing for the AFC East lead. The Atlanta Falcons opened their preseason last week in a disappointing 23-3 loss against the Tennessee Titans. Atlanta could not get anything going on the offensive end throughout the game against the Tennessee defense and could not fight back after going into halftime trailing by a 13-0 margin. Atlanta struggled in the passing game as A.J. McCarron, 5 for 12, 36 yards, 1 int, and Philip Franks, 2 for 9, 16 yards, had little success through the air. Philip Franks did have some success with his legs as he finished with 76 rushing yards, including a 52-yard run. The top receiving threats for the Falcons were John Rain, 2 rec, 15 yards, Caleb Huntley, 1 rec, 14 yards, and Parker Hess, 1 rec, 8 yards. Leading the way in the backfield was Caleb Huntley, 6 car, 18 yards, and Donta Foreman, 3 car, 10 yards. Defensively, Atlanta struggled on both aspects against the Tennessee passing and rushing attacks as Tennessee QBs finished with a combined QB rating of 110.4, while also allowing Tennessee to rack up 138 rushing yards. Leading the way for the Atlanta defense was Dorian Etheridge, 13 tackles, 3 TFL, and Jalen Hawkins, 3 tackles, 1 sack. My betting advice for that game is to pick under.